Today, we're diving straight into Unit 55 to unlock the mysteries of common, uncountable nouns.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with apples versus money, move into everyday uncountable nouns, figure out counting the uncountable, and wrap up with common grammar traps. Let's get right to it.
Okay, so just to hook your brain into this topic, ask yourself, why does asking for 3 luggages or 4 monies sound so, well, fundamentally weird? I mean, we count things literally all day long, right? Steps, friends, the minutes until the weekend. But English grammar has this rigid wall right down the middle of our vocabulary. It dictates that some things simply cannot be counted with regular numbers. Crazy, right? Let's figure out why.
Section 1, apples versus money. This setup perfectly illustrates the sort of binary nature of English nouns. On one hand, we have things like apples, shoes, and plates. You can physically hold an individual shoe, right? You can point to a single plate. But then, think about the other side. Sugar, money, luggage. You can't really separate out the concept of luggage into one specific thing. It's more of an overarching category for all your bags and suitcases. And you don't hold one singular money, do you? You hold a coin or a bill. These represent masses, concepts, or whole categories.
So, the absolute crucial takeaway here, straight from our source material, is this simple definition. If you can put a number right before it, boom, it's countable. 4 apples, 2 shoes, works perfectly. But try saying 3 luggages. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Uncountable nouns act as a unified whole. You simply cannot count it.
Moving right along. Section 2. Everyday uncountable nouns.
As we go through these, you'll probably spot a pattern right away. Liquids, masses, and grains. In English, these are treated as single, uncountable concepts. Think about when you're cooking. You don't stand there counting individual grains of rice or strands of spaghetti, right? Imagine how long dinner would take. You scoop out butter as a mass. Liquids, like milk, water, tea, coffee, they flow. They don't come in singular units, unless we put them in a cup or a bottle. And bread, this is a fun one, is viewed as a baked mass of dough, not an individual item.
Now keep a delicious plate of baked goods in mind for a second. We're actually going to challenge you later on whether words for things like biscuits follow the rules we're learning right now. It's a really great way to test if you can spot the difference between a unified mass and an individual object. Okay, getting out of the kitchen for a bit, you absolutely need to memorize these abstract nouns and travel terms. These are literally the biggest culprits for everyday communication slip-ups. I mean, you can't point to a single unit of weather or a piece of air, right? Advice, information, and news are abstract concepts, just knowledge passing between people. And if you're traveling, keep in mind that travel, luggage, and accommodation are broad categories. You might book 3 specific hotel rooms, sure, but you're just booking accommodation. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. While you can easily count individual chairs, TVs, or lamps, the overarching category of furniture is always uncountable. It's an umbrella term. Honestly, this trips up so many learners because, you look at a living room and see all these distinct items, but the second you group them under the word furniture, you have to totally drop the idea of counting them.
All right, let's tackle Section 3, counting the uncountable. Since we can't just say 2 breads, this simple 4-step formula is going to be your absolute secret weapon. It acts like a structural bridge for quantifying anything uncountable. Step 1, state your number. Step 2, use a unit of measurement or a container, because that's the part you're actually counting. Step 3, add the tiny but super powerful preposition of. And finally, Step 4, drop in your uncountable noun. It's really that easy.
Take a mental snapshot of this breakdown. This is exactly how you safely and correctly ask for specific amounts of things. Just look at how beautifully this formula works in the real world. We don't say 2 breads, we say 2 loaves of bread. We count the loaves. We don't say 3 milks, it's 3 liters of milk. We're counting the liters or the kilos, not the rice itself. The uncountable noun at the end, the bread, the milk, the rice, stays completely frozen and unchanged, while that measurement word does all the heavy lifting.
Which brings us to Section 4, Common Grammar Traps. Okay, listen closely. If you only take one single thing away from this explainer, please let it be this golden rule. Uncountable nouns always take a singular verb. Because we're treating them as one unified mass, grammar says we have to treat them as singular. It literally doesn't matter if you have 1 chair or a massive mansion filled with 50 couches. The furniture is white. Never ever say are.
And please, don't let the S at the end of the word news trick you into thinking it's plural. This is such a common trap. News is an uncountable concept. Even though it ends in an S, it absolutely demands that singular verb is. The news is better today.
All right, here's another ironclad rule for you. You can never pluralize an uncountable noun. Because you can't count it, you can't have multiples of it, grammatically speaking. So just drop the S on words like information. Whether someone tells you one tiny fact or reads you an entire encyclopedia, they are just giving you some information. No S needed.
Also, because we can't count them, we absolutely cannot use the singular articles a or an right next to an uncountable noun. I mean, a literally means one, and if we can't count it, we definitely can't label it as one. So saying an advice is just fundamentally broken in English. Instead, lean on the word some. You just ask for some advice.
That exact same logic applies at the bakery, by the way. If you've ever tried to buy a bread and noticed the baker looking a bit confused, well, now you know why. You got to either use our friendly word some and ask for some bread, or if you need an exact amount, bring back that measurement formula we talked about and ask for a loaf of bread.
And again, we completely drop the A when describing an uncountable concept like the weather. You can't have a weather, you just have weather. So instead of saying you're hoping for a better weather for your weekend picnic, just say you're hoping for better weather. Honestly, it feels so much cleaner to say once you get the underlying rule.
Let's bring it all back to our favorite umbrella term. Even if you're talking about an entire house packed with couches, beds, and tables, the word furniture never gets an S slapped on the end. You went out and bought some furniture, not some furnitures. It's a single uncountable category, no matter how many moving trucks it actually takes to deliver it all.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today. We've unlocked the mechanics of why we count apples but not money, and exactly how to safely navigate everyday English without falling into those sneaky pluralization traps. But hey, learning is an active sport, right? So I want to leave you with a quick challenge directly from our source material. Think about the rules we just went over: categories versus items, abstract concepts versus physical objects. Now, I highly encourage you to grab a dictionary or search online for these 3 tricky words: homework, equipment, and vehicle. Apply your new pattern recognition skills. Which of these are individual items you can actually count, and which are just endless, uncountable masses? I'll let you figure that one out. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.